Hey, yeah. So this is something that I've been wanting to talk about. Really, just a generalized question about making a yeast starter, and I'll talk about quickly what I did when I was making yeast starters at home, and then I'm going to talk about some of the big picture ideas behind it. Okay, so making a yeast starter is when you are buying a vial of yeast. Typically, you're buying a vial or a pack of yeast and you are giving it a chance to ferment or to work on a low gravity starter wort that typically has a little bit of nutrient in it. And the idea is you want to grow it up, increase the number of cells, get them viable, active, ready to do their thing. Oftentimes, when you are buying packets, vials, whatever, well, they don't, vials is dating me. Vials was White Labs, man. And I think they have the little tear pack now thing. So yeah, I'm showing those gray hairs in my chin right now. But yeah, a lot of times, I mean, if you got yeast calculator, I think they give you a 4-month window on freshness for it. If you're halfway through that, you're losing cells, man. And as much as it'll say it will make a beer, but it's not the appropriate pitch rate. And I would really make an argument. I think one of the things that set me apart from guys when I first started getting on the scene and on the homebrew side was I was meticulous about yeast starters, getting my yeast happy and getting them ready to roll. Okay. It's a really, really big deal. It's a really, really big deal. So, and again, we're talking about liquid yeast right now. So what I did was I had a 2-liter Erlenmeyer flask. They're like the rectangle ones with the straight top. It'll make you feel like a scientist. It'll make you feel like a baller. Get one. And then I had like this one that was like a 3 or 5 liter or something. Dude, it was amazing. I loved it. Now, what's great about this is you can mix that starter. So what I would do is I would take that flask. The nice thing about using this method is you can pair that flask up with a stir plate, right? And so a stir plate was, I think I actually won it. It was just I don't know, it's just a little fan with a magnet attached to it, and you plug it in, and it has it's encased in a box. You plug it in, turn it on, and it starts spinning. You put one of the little stir bars, slide that into the Erlenmeyer, and then get it on there, and it'll spin that little bar, and it'll make the liquids, the starter wort spin, and it keeps the yeast up active. It helps keep the process moving, helps speed up the process. So what I would do is I would get my big Erlenmeyer, I'd put my stir bar in, I would put my filtered water in, I would put enough dry malt extract, not sugar. You don't want to be propagating yeast on super simple sugar like that. You want to be mimicking the sugars that they're going to be fermenting. So get yourself some DME, some nice fresh DME. You don't want something that's been sitting around forever. Be careful, get that DME down into the liquid, get it going. You want a nice low gravity on that. You want something below 1040, something like 1032, something like that. Get it dissolved, a pinch of yeast nutrient in there, bring it up to a boil, okay, because you want it to be sanitary. The cool thing about using the Erlenmeyer is you boil in that, so the whole thing's sanitized, right? It's cool. It's heat sanitized. It's a great sterile way to do it. And then what I would do is I would then take that out and cool it. I would put a sanitized piece of tin foil over the top, and then I would get a cooling bath for it, but I wouldn't have that cooling water go beyond the liquid level of the flask, just because I wanted to prevent myself from breaking the flask by putting like a bunch of cold water above the liquid line and maybe getting too much of a shift in temperature for that glass. I know it's not glass. I think it's probably Pyrex, which should be able to handle it, the temperature differential, but you don't want to test it too hard. So you get that cooled down. You can get one of those little, laser thermometers to let you know when you're in range. Get it into the low 70s, high 60s. And then what I did was I had a gas stove. And this is like a little trick that you can do because anytime you take that covering off the top of the flask, you're worried about dust carrying microorganisms dropping into your flask, right? Or at least I am, because I'm crazy. So what I would do is I would put the flask in between 2 burners on my stove, and then I would turn the burners on. And so you would get a draft of heat going up, and it actually, and you can feel that, right? I mean, you know what that's like with that hot air rising. So you can actually create like a situation where nothing's dropping in to the flask because you're basically built this air curtain above you with heat, right? And so that's when I would then pour the yeast in. I would put my sanitized aluminum foil back over top. I'd stir plate it up. I would give it 24 hours typically. If it was a smaller starter, I wouldn't decant, and I would just add the whole thing, rouse it up, add it in. But you're doing a few different things. You're getting more yeast cells. You're getting them up and active and ready to work, and it's bumping up your viability, your health, and your yeast health and everything like that. So remember, they're the ones that are doing the work. You're just some dude in a work shirt that probably smells bad and is wearing flip-flops when they shouldn't be in the brewery, okay? That's you, okay? It's the yeast that are doing the work. So keep them happy. Keep them happy. You're just trying to create an advantageous environment for the yeast. That's really what our job is. So that means it has to be sanitary. They have to be fat, happy, healthy, ready to do their thing. There has to be enough of them, stuff like that. So that's the big benefit of doing a starter. If you are using liquid yeast at home and you haven't played with starters, hit it up. Brewers Association has a book called Yeast. Do it. Get this. Again, Chris White, Jamil Zainasheff. Love Jamil Zainasheff. All his content is great. But dig in there. There are tons of great stuff. If it's not on your shelf, it should be. If you have a homebrew club and you have like a budget for education, like a general library, get this in there. Really, really good, really, really useful. The tips I talked about for doing the starter, all that stuff is all built off of this stuff. So do yourself a favor. Super killer book. And I think beyond fermentation, temperature control, that's on the home level, that's what's going to be these are the things that are going to take your beer to the next level. So yeah. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you feel as if you got any value out of the video, please like and subscribe. There are also other videos that you can watch. They're going to maybe be over here or over here. Appreciate you watching.